Hi, it's time once again to take a look at what I colored in the month of October 2018. And I'll start with a few new purchases. This one, Crayola's Art with Edge Sugar Skulls, Heads Up. I bought this to go for a couple of color-alongs. One for Day of the Dead and one for October Skulls on Instagram. And there we go. Oh, I'll get my book out. I made it a point to write down the tools I used in each one. I got that idea from Danny Buttons. She did a video on bullet journaling, and it was excellent because I didn't know that much about it, but I decided, well, when I do these videos, it's good to have the tools you use on hand instead of going, you know. All right. All right. I used Sevo Vivid, Crayola markers, and metallic Sharpies. And I did one in that. Next new purchase was another Crayola Art with Edge. This is The Avengers, one of my all-time favorite adventure slash Marvel films. And it features my favorite villain, Loki. I haven't colored anything in this one yet. Yeah. And it comes with a small poster, which is kind of nice. I don't know if I'll be hanging this up in my room or not, but I like it. It's pretty awesome. It's for kids, but I'm a big kid, you know. Aren't we all? My big purchase of the month. I finally did. I finally got a Joanna Basford coloring book. And it is beautiful. I've done, I don't know how, let's see. Oh, I just finished this one yesterday. And I used Prismacolor Scholars and Tan Mitt gel pens. And the background here, I used Arteza watercolors. And I do like the way that one came out. This one I did for her coloring competition. She hasn't posted it on her coloring gallery yet, but I hope she does it before the deadline, because she's going to choose a random winner. That winner gets a signed copy of the book and 120 set of Faber-Castell Polychromos. I want. This one I used the Scholars, and for the background I used neon highlighters. And I used the colors of the rainbow as inspiration, so each pencil is its own color. You know, even the green has a green flower. I did the title page, and on this one I used the Faber-Castell Classics, and they work pretty good in this book. They're a smaller course, so it's easy to get in the little tiny details. And I did the double page spread of the Nouveau flowers. On this one, I used the Arteza. I tried 4 different of my favorite pencil sets to see how each one performed, and they all did very well in this book. This is the Civo Vivid. The Civo Vivid has a thicker core than the other pencils, and these took a little bit more blending and layering to get the vibrant effect. This one was the Pelikan pencils. I was surprised at how well I was able to do the background with that small cord pencil. And this one, the Scholars. And for the background here, it's rather shiny. I used the yellow neon for this one, for the background. I also got Jade Summers' Cute Witches on PDF, and I used mostly Arteza watercolors in this one, with some Arteza pencils for shading, and for the bushes here I used watercolor, then dotted with green and aqua Sharpies. Also from Jade Summer, this from the book Vampires. It was originally on Vampires. This was also a freebie download of their greatest hits. And I used Art 101 markers on her hair and clothing. And the skin, I used skin tone markers. And for the dog, I used gray watercolors and then colored in the strands of hair with Pelikan pencils. This too was for a couple of color alongs for the October Skulls and Day of the Dead from Jade Summer. I used Sharpies and gel pens. Ooh, look at that shine. I did 4 from Deborah Moeller, 3 in Magical Fairies. 1 I just finished tonight. This was done with Arteza pencils and Tan gel pens, and also some Prismacolor Scholars. And this one was also done with Scholars and metallic marker for the background. And some painter's pen. And yeah, this one I just completed. And for her, for the background, I did Crayola watercolors. For her wings, I used Tan gel pens. And her skin and clothes were done with Arteza pencils. And I also did some, you know, the leaves and the flowers with Sharpies and Crayola markers. I also did a picture from Day of the Dead Girls by Deborah Muller. This was a free download on her coloring Facebook group for a coloring contest. And I used gel pens, as you can see, Sharpies, and Arteza pencils, and Scholars too for her hair. Next, I did one from Beautiful Birds by Dot Barlow. This one was done with both Arteza and Scholar pencils, and a little bit of gel pen for the splashes. Let's see if I can get them to sparkle. I redid one in Gothic Dark Fantasy by Selena Finneck. I'll show you the original too. Alright. Here we go. Now this is the original coloring I did early last year in 2017. And that was done mostly with Crayola pencils and some metallic gel pen. This is the most recent one. I decided to go with markers this time, and boy, what a difference. I even used a light blue Crayola Super Tip on her hair and then shaded with black Arteza pencil. The background was still done in pencil. I used the Scholars for that, as well as her skin. I did one in African Fashions by Diana Murray. And this one was done with Arteza, Scholars, and some Artist Loft skin tone markers, and then shaded with Arteza. And her hair was done with Art 101 marker. And there was a little bit of gel pen in there too. I did two in Inklings by Tanya Bond, and these were done for a color along on Instagram featuring Tanya Bond and Hannah Lynn. I don't have anything by Hannah Lynn, so I did two in Tanya's book. And this one was done with Art 101 markers, Arteza pencils, and Crayola watercolor for the background. And this one, I also use the Art 101. The Art 101 markers are water-based markers. They're a brush pen. And that's what I used on her hair. And her skin, used a, I think it was the color Camel in the Arteza pencils. And the little dragon was done in markers and then shaded with pencil. And the background was watercolors. And some glitter gel pen in there too. Did one in Fantasy Fashions by Mingju Sun. This one right here, this was for a coloring challenge from Color with Claire's Facebook group. It was a particular autumn palette, and I used Crayolas for this challenge. And I decided to be a little bit more bold, and rather than do an autumn scene, do some fashion and using that palette. The background was done with Crayola Super Tips, but the rest was done with Crayola pencils. Her skin was also part of the color palette. It was the equivalent I had was dark chocolate. I did one in The Witcher. Yeah, that's creepy. I used Arteza watercolors and pencils and Prismacolor Scholars and some Pelikan pencils for the details in the grass and the roof of the shack. And the sky was done with pencil. I used different shades of pink for their skin, and their eyes were done with dark blue markers. I did one in Star Trek: The Next Generation. This is a scene from Season 2's The Dolphin, in which Wesley develops a crush on a young shapeshifter. And this big ugly thing behind him is her guardian changing into this hideous thing to scare him off. It was done with Arteza watercolors and pencils and Sharpies. The background I just did with straight coloring because I'm still not that proficient in background shading, so I wasn't sure what approach to take with that, so I just straight colored that. And finally, I found this little guy on DeviantArt, and the original artist was Eddie H, and it was inked by Suave 18, and I had to color him for Halloween. He's my favorite horror villain. And I used Sharpies and Arteza pencils. And for the knife, I think it was a metallic marker. And Crayola watercolor for the background. Now, finally, I have a question. I have some PDFs, and I would like to get them printed out, but I don't want to use up our family's ink in the printer. Now, has anyone ever taken the PDF on a thumb drive to a stationer's or an office supply store and got them printed up that way? I'd like to get some background information before I go ahead and do that, because I want to know what I'm doing before I venture out and try something like that. I want to know, I want to get some questions answered before I do that. You know, has anybody done that? And what's the cost? And are there any, I've read some people had copyright issues, you know, that people refusing to print them out for copyright reasons. I don't know if that's true either. So if anybody out there watching this has ever printed out PDF books at a stationer's or an office store or even a library, yeah, let me know how you went about doing that. Okay, that's all I have. Thanks for watching.